challenges to some of the people who've got existing practices. Where are your people hanging out? Basically, you want to kind of go to them and be in front of them without openly selling to them. So I sat on this train, started reading the book, got about halfway through, turned around to him and said, this is what I'm going to do. You kind of got to think like your clients. Where are they? Who are they? And what are they doing? And then try and mirror that and be there and be available in those areas. I want clients that we can add value to and really build their business and really help them grow.
Hi there. So today I am interviewing an incredible accountant who started her practice only 9 months ago and has achieved some incredible things. Looking at her story in terms of how she started, her background, and the incredible achievements that she has achieved in such a short space of time. So without further ado, let's get in today's session with Amy Savin of Acevo Accounting. Amy, hi. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So Amy, I'm very excited about this because it's usually I get guests on the podcast who've been kind of seasoned practitioners, but I know you haven't been in the game very long. You've done some incredible things in the short time that you have been a practitioner, so a practice firm owner. So it'd be great to come to get you onto the podcast today and listen to your story because I think it will give inspiration and motivation to all those budding practice owners out there as to what is possible. So let's start from the beginning because you haven't been in this game very long. So it's probably still quite raw and quite very new to you in terms of where it all started. So start us off there. How did you get into running your own firm in the first place? You can talk about what your journey into what you were doing immediately before you took the decision to start your own firm.
So I was, I've been working in industry. I started my career in practice, but moved quite quickly into industry, enjoyed working in industry, helped my husband run a business for a few years. And then I was working for a large recruitment company and quite a senior job. Lifestyle wasn't really how we wanted it with the family situation wasn't really working very well. Myself and my husband were working a lot and it wasn't what I wanted out of life. I wasn't really getting the time with my kids I wanted. And obviously our story is a bit interesting because we actually knew each other before I started getting involved with the Profitable Accountants Group and reading the 4 Pillars because our daughters are friends.
In terms of you trained as an accountant, you're not, you're CIMA, right?
ACCA.
You're ACCA.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you did the ACCA route, but in practice only a few years and then most of your time was spent in industry.
I started my career in practice. I qualified in practice, but decided I wanted to go down the industry route. Okay. I've had different jobs. I've done an FP&A role. I've done a financial controller role, but I also helped my husband run a business when our children were young. Okay. So having a business wasn't completely unique to me. We'd sort of done that before. It was sort of, and then I'd gone back into industry. Basically.
Yeah. Amazing. Perfect. So you're working in industry. It doesn't quite fit with what you wanted to do with 2 young kids. And so, when does that, when did the kind of seed get planted as to kind of setting up your own practice?
One day I dropped my daughter at your house and I was chatting with your lovely wife and she was telling me that you just written a book and she said, you've written a book for accountants. She didn't really go into much detail, to be honest. You know, we were kind of friends. I thought, I'll buy it. I bought it off Amazon, thought it would be a good thing to read. It might be interesting. I'd started reading a little bit of like business books, like Atomic Habits, things like that. So I started sort of getting my mind into reading that kind of like material. So I bought the book, sat on the side for 2 months, I reckon. didn't read it at all. We then went on holiday with my daughter. She plays football and we went to the Gothia Cup. We had a travel nightmare. And we ended up on a train home. We had to go from Sweden to Copenhagen to get the train. It's a 4-hour train. So I said to my husband, I'm going to read the book. So I sat on this train, started reading the book, got about halfway through, turned around to him and said, this is what I'm going to do. Honestly, that is exactly what happened. And that it was almost like a light bulb moment. Yeah. I felt like I could do it. When I read the book, I was like, actually, this makes total sense. I could deliver this. I had a really good team where I worked before. So I felt I could bring in people and manage a team. And I was like, I think that's a really strong point of it, is building your structure of your business the way you want it run. And so I was really keen to do it. So that's where it started.
So that was, because the book only came out in May 23.
So that was July 23.
July 23, okay. Yeah. All right. So then what did you do next?
So then I spent the summer researching what I needed to do. I needed to get a practicing certificate because even though I was ACCA qualified, I did have to go away, write up 3 years worth of experience because I hadn't done it. I'd never thought about setting up my own practice. It wasn't something that I'd kind of dreamed of doing. You know, some people go through practice and want their own. It wasn't something I thought of, but I just felt like it was something I could do. So I went away, did that. In October, I handed my notice in to my boss and agreed to go part-time from January on the basis that she helped me get my practicing certificate, which she did. And then I applied for my practicing certificate, sent all the experience off in the January of 24. So, and then went part-time.
Right. So that's all very quick. So you kind of read the book and it gives you that light bulb moment. And you thought, right, that's it. The book probably, you know, it lays out the plan and gives you that hope that it's possible. But where do you think, it also requires a lot of courage and bravery and confidence to say, right, that's it. I'm going to pack in my day job with the stability of the income and go it all in on this. Where do you think that comes from in you?
My dad had his own business. My brothers both have their own business. We'd had a business. So that kind of side wasn't too scary to me. My husband's very supportive. He kind of just nodded along and went, okay, if that's what you want to do, we'll make it work. So he was very supportive, which I'm very lucky for because I know a lot of people aren't in a position to just say, I'm gonna quit my job and go off and do that. So, you know, I had that support. He did say, you're not going to wait. And I kind of went, you know, I'm in my 40s. What am I waiting for? I haven't got any you know, I'm not 20 and can wait another 5 years. I felt like it was now. And also I felt like I wanted to make that change because my children are getting older and I wanted that flexibility to have around my children by having my own business. So that was kind of like...
Okay, fantastic. January 24 comes along, you go part-time. How did you get your first few clients?
So I obviously still didn't have my practicing certificate in January. So January I went part-time. February I joined the pack. So I'd started following all your free groups and things like that you offer, Reza. But then I decided to bite the bullet and join in February. And then my mind was probably blown by all the information. There's so much information on there and so much to digest. And then we started the power positioning course as well. I think similar time or it just started. So I started that as well and followed that. And then I was trying to find a niche because initially I didn't really know what I was going to niche in. And so I was thinking about that and thinking about building a website and doing bits and pieces like that. That kind of carried on. And I started to pick up referrals, but I couldn't actually take them on until I had my practicing certificate. So I was helping other people out while I was working part-time and doing like bits of bookkeeping and just whatever, just to get some money and just learn and things like that. So I did that until I left at the end of May. But I still didn't have my practicing certificate when I left.
Good.
So that was a little bit scary because I literally was leaving. I've been going back and forth with ACCA because I've worked in industry. It was just slightly harder to get all the experience, how they wanted to see it. But then literally 10 days after I left, I got my practicing certificate through. Amazing. So I could then onboard all the clients that I'd kind of already had conversations with but couldn't do anything with. So then it started. Then I was full-time into it.
So this is... just after June.
June. So it was May 24. So
May 24.
So May last year, I went full-time into my own business.
Amazing. And so you got your first few clients. And then because so power positioning is all about, you know, getting clear on your who, your niche and that kind of thing. And you got in there very early. So you're already kind of hearing this stuff, which sometimes it takes some accountants, you know, years to pick up on this. When did it kind of dawn on you that, yes, I need to go down this route? And when did you actually choose your niche?
Before I left my work, I think probably about April time. So the niche I've gone for, because my niche is recruitment, we'd had a recruitment business and my job before I left was at a recruitment PLC. It just made sense. It was almost like a no-brainer that was where I needed to go. And that's where my experience lied. I had contacts within that area. So I felt like that was just the natural step. I must say I was a little bit reluctant to start with about completely niching. I didn't completely buy in 100%, I would say. I set up 2 brands. I had a brand for not niching and a brand for niching, which actually I'm changing the name of my company that was the other one to the niche brand because actually I don't think it matters. And I think that that's the way forward. So initially I was a little bit, not skeptical, but I was a little bit like, oh, but what about the people who want to come in who aren't that niche? Actually, I don't think it really matters. So I'm putting all in. Literally, that's happening for the 1st of April when I moved my year ends to get rid of the other company that focus is on directing towards other industries and just sort of market to my niche.
It is a common kind of objection that I hear a lot in terms of, what if I close the doors on other business? But what actually happens is you become a lot clearer in terms of who your ideal client is and actually finding them and putting out messages that will attract your ideal client to you and see you as the expert, and then allow you to be able to do a lot more for them, charge more and provide a more valuable service. I mean, it was a natural choice for you to go into recruitment because of your background, but that doesn't mean that it was easy for you to find clients because you worked in a very big conglomerate, right? It was a big blue chip, and having some contact still doesn't mean it's going to be easy to find clients. So what did you do in terms of the activity to get known as the specialist accountant for recruitment business owners, and how did you find your first clients?
So the first clients came a little bit through referrals, but on LinkedIn I was starting to post and people were tagging other people in. So I picked up a few clients quite quickly, I'd say, from a bit of referral basis. But then actually I think probably the moment in time that changed my mindset was when we did the away day. So the away day with the pack was really useful because I was so that was about September. So I'd had the summer, I'd onboarded a few clients, some recruitment, some not. Some of our clients aren't recruitment. But I'd onboarded all those, done work. And then I was like, how am I going to move forward? I found I wasn't having the time to do all of it. So there was a few things that happened at that which were really interesting, kind of stick in my mind. There was a couple of key things that made me change what I was doing. So the first was Aaron, who said about that he uses other people to do his social media because it's not something he wants to do or has time to do. And I was like, oh, I could do that actually. I don't have time for it. So that was the one thing that I straight away afterwards tried to engage with someone who helps me do that. The other thing was Mahmood, very much, he was great. And he said about get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because actually when you're in business, you've got to push yourself to be uncomfortable. You've been in the nice little world of corporate where you feel really comfortable what you're doing. And now you have to step out of it. And so I've tried to push myself to be uncomfortable, doing networking events, things like this, totally out of my comfort zone. So it's just those things. And then there was something else you said, which was you were talking to somebody else about their unfair advantage. And I realised recruitment was my unfair advantage. So compared to other accountants, if you're trying to market to a recruitment company, I've got more experience in their industry because I've actually sat there and done it. I've literally sat in an office with people running a recruitment business and worked out how to make it work. So that's my unfair advantage. That kind of was a real trigger for me that, right, this is go. I need to push forward on how to market this and make it work. So our main focus for marketing is LinkedIn. Recruiters are on LinkedIn. That's where they spend most of their time trying to infiltrate. That's my theory. Infiltrate their area. So I become something they see regularly, and then that will help them make the decisions. So I engaged with a lady to help me do LinkedIn, and she helps me to build my content and helps me find the right people. So we are trying to target and add people who are the right fit for us. So not just recruitment consultants, but business owners, founders. So she spends her time finding those people, adding them to our LinkedIn and helping me build content. So we write it together, or I write it and she then fluffs it up. She'll do the planning of the posts and things like that. So that's been really useful. And I guess we had a little bit of a lull after the September. I got the initial kind of referral basis, and then we started doing that, and I didn't get a lot, but actually now we're in March, we're starting to get regular inquiries through LinkedIn. I think we're up to 650 people on my LinkedIn, which are mainly in the recruitment space. And we just are trying to keep our content regular and just keep posting things that people might be interested in. And we're getting regular inquiries and probably at least one a week calls and stuff. So it's starting to really come good, to be honest. And I can see that it will keep going. Absolutely.
Yeah, because those activities compound over time, right? It's kind of just a consistent activity over a prolonged period of time, which then yields results, consistent results thereafter. And I think a lot of people, they have this, they have the optimism at the beginning, and then quickly they realize that, that it turns into pessimism, and then they get into that valley of disappointment, and then they stop and they go back to the beginning to trying something else. Whereas actually the key is to kind of stick with it. And it's getting past that valley of disappointment when you start to see the result of those activities done over a prolonged period of time actually yield the consistent results afterwards.
And also I think as accountants, because our cycle of work is very annual, often they won't change mid-year. If they're already in a contract with people, they know that they're going to be out of pocket. So I definitely find, like I've had quite a few coming up to April where they've got a March year end, and where they've paid their accountant all year, but actually they want to move. So it's like, right, okay, let's move 1st of April, because then you're getting the value from your previous accountant, but then we can make that cut at the year end. So I think that's definitely something that's at play with accountants. So you kind of have to put in the long game, because we have to wait for that cycle to change. The main thing I really want to do is fully outsourced accounts departments.
Yeah.
We've got a couple, but that's something that I think can really add value for the clients. But that's a massive decision. And so people aren't making that decision straight away, and they might take them quite a while to come around to actually that might be a good idea to look at that. We might save some money. We might be able to get more out of our accounts department for similar money if we move to a more of an outsourcing thing. So I think it is a lot. It is definitely a long game. I can see where the valley of disappointment is. And I think sometimes daily, something good happens, something bad happens, something good happens. And I can literally go from high to low on in the same day. Yeah. But that's just, I try not to take it to heart. Exactly. I very much, I'm trying to have a growth mindset towards it all. If something doesn't go well, why? If we don't win something, why? If someone says no, a couple of times I've gone back and said, could you give us some feedback? It's usually price, which I usually reply if I'm comfortable with the price, and often it's service. You don't get the service. A lot of the people you talk to, they're not getting the service from their accountants. They might have a cheap price, but they're not actually getting what they want from them. But some people aren't prepared to move on that. So I just move on from them. They're not the clients I want. I want clients that we can add value to and really build their business and really help them grow.
I mean, someone watching this may think, oh, okay, I just need to get on LinkedIn and do content and get clients. But actually, the reason why you went on LinkedIn, and you mentioned this, but it's worth kind of reiterating, is that you got clear on the who. So the who is recruitment businesses. And then once you do that, then it's a case of, right, once I'm clear on the who, I know what, where, and how to go about finding my clients now. I know where they hang out. So for you, you chose LinkedIn because your recruitment businesses hang out on LinkedIn, and that's why you chose that platform, to be able to put your stall out there and start to do content and start to connect with them, because that's where they are. Like, for example, that wouldn't work for like Capture Accounting for us as content creators, because they're not on LinkedIn predominantly, so we are using other channels. But it's getting clear on that who, knowing who your ideal client is first and foremost, which then determines where and how to go about finding. Completely
agree. There's different. We've actually had conversations within so we've got a pack group that's just new businesses, because I think with the pack, the new businesses are very different challenges to some of the people who've got existing practices. So it's quite nice to have a separate group. And we were talking about that. It's like, where are your people hanging out? Basically, you want to kind of go to them and be in front of them without openly selling to them. You kind of want them to see you and want them to engage with the content, but you don't want to be ramming it down their throat. So absolutely, I think there's someone in the group who's a hairdresser, and her content is very much on Instagram.
Exactly.
There's no point in her going on LinkedIn. That's not where they are. It's very much, you've got to work out, you kind of got to think like your clients. Where are they? Who are they? And what are they doing? And then try and mirror that and be there and be available in those areas. Yeah, like you say, it's not about selling to them, it's leading with value in the day and age where, as accountants, if you're not doing anything to differentiate, then you're just going to fall into that sea of sameness with everybody else. So how do you differentiate? You pick a niche and you go all in into one particular area, but then you create content around that niche in terms of leading with value. So you put stuff out there that's helpful to them. You share tips, you share things that they can do to grow their business, to save tax. And when they see that you are speaking to them, then they're going to come to you eventually when the problem arises, or when the pain gets deep enough for them to want to reach out and want to work with you. In terms of some of the successes that you've been having, so talk about that, because, and it'd be worth comparing, because you had some clients that you took on via referral. So talk about kind of some of the fees that you may have charged in the early days when you were taking on anyone and everyone, compared to, let's say, the value of the
the fees that you're able to generate now based upon going, all in on this recruitment business space?
Yeah, initially it's kind of a little bit of just guesswork with the pricing. You kind of were pricing based on what you felt or what we previously priced. But obviously we've got the pricing model that you've done, Reza, which is something I need to work a little bit harder to get ready for me, have to make it a bit more personalised. But I've used the model and that kind of pricing to try and create a value pricing that mirrors what we're delivering and what we're giving them. You aren't going to win everybody over though. It's never going to be that. And I very much took that from some of the early sessions we did about actually some people aren't going to be your clients. They're going to lead on price and that is going to be their default and you're never going to win them. Just move on. So very much that's my mentality. Just carry on. But it's been good and we've won some good clients and we've proved the concept of completely outsourcing with a couple of quite big clients and that's been really good for us as a business. And now I'm taking somebody on to take over some of that work to try, and then I want to build the back office side to make all the processes work really well and be a bit more streamlined, because at the moment it's a little bit that's for them and that's for them. And just trying to streamline everything a bit, and I need to work on that really.
Usually, when people start up in practice and someone listens to this thinking, okay, I'm starting to practice, there is this limiting belief I see in a lot of accountants where they think that, I'm starting out, so I can't charge big fees. I can only charge £1,000-2,000 and because I'm on my own, I can just do it and I can undercut the previous accountant. But we all know that people who join you on price will leave you on price. So I think it'd be useful just to give that hope and inspiration to just mention some of the value of the fees that you have been getting within your first year of trading, just to show that it is possible once you get really dialed in on who you serve.
One of the clients we've got is $38,000 a year, and that's their base fee. We've actually been doing more work for them because we're doing FD work for them as well. Lately, actually, they've taken someone on. They live in London, but we then went and supported them in a time where they didn't have anyone and took the extra work. So the fees are big. They can be really good and really good size. They really like it because we understand them. So we get their business, so they're happy to give us the work. They prefer to give it to us and get a temp in to do it because they don't see the value. They don't get any value. Those people don't understand their business, whereas we do. So the value we've been able to turn over some good fees in the first year for a few clients, and we have got some smaller ones that are coming up and building, which is great. To see them grow and kind of grow together with them as well. We've had a little bit of that where they're quite new and we're quite new, and so they feel that sort of like connection because you're a new business as well. So that's been quite nice.
And at the time of recording, we haven't even hit 12 months since you properly first started, but you're already on track or have already surpassed the six-figure mark in your first year of trading?
Our first 12 months will be
amazing.
Over six-figure mark.
Fantastic.
So yes, it's been great.
Well, that's great. And that's a great inspiration to everyone, really, that, it can be done, that you can start from nothing and build a very successful business if you do the right things in the right way and, learn from the mistakes of others that have gone and tried things and done things wrong for a number of years, but you clearly were cotton on enough and smart enough to learn from someone else's mistakes, and you've done things in the right way and are clearly seeing the success of that. So in terms of where you're at now, so you are now at the point where, you've crossed six figures and it was just you. Now you've started to recruit. But actually before that, I think it's probably worth dwelling a little bit on the type of work that you are doing. And it's very much in line of where I believe what we should be doing as accountants, and kind of transitioning away from that once a year model to actually supporting business owners in providing that virtual finance office function, the outsourced finance function, because that's where the value lies, where we can give a small business access to a finance team, like a fractional team, a bit of an FD and a bit of an FC and a finance manager, a bookkeeper, all in one, much more cost effectively than them hiring in-house, and actually give value that they need in order to be successful. Because most businesses, they don't get to their second, 50th year anniversary because they don't have the financial acumen around them in order for them to succeed, to know about the cash flow and profit and loss and balance sheets. They don't understand those things, and often businesses go bust because they can't afford to have an FD when they're only a small business. They can't afford to have a finance manager, so they make do with unfit for purpose financial staff. So this is really a function and a value-added service that we as accountants can provide. Now that it's become a lot more easy for us to do with the rise of cloud technology, enabling us to work in real time, to work from anywhere, and have Zoom calls and things like that. Talk a little bit about how you make this work. How does it work in terms of the delivery of that service to some of your larger clients?
I completely agree. That's exactly the kind of model that we're trying to provide, is giving them the value of a bigger finance team, but actually for the price of a small finance team, so they can actually get more out of their business, and we can give them the support that they're just not able to get from one person sitting in their accounts department who might be a mid-level person. They just cannot deliver that higher level work and have those conversations. Also, I found it really valuable that you kind of sit outside of the organisation, so the emotions removed. So you can be very... You can say, what about this, in a very not emotional way. Whereas when you've got someone in-house, there's all the emotions of working with people and things like that. So that's been really useful in some cases to be able to analyse things in a different way, because actually you're not there and you're not in it.
Yeah, and so what, in terms of the weeds then, what do you actually do for these clients?
We do everything. So we manage their inbox. We will do credit control. We do payroll. We do contractor payroll for recruitment companies weekly as well for some clients. We're doing management accounts, cash flow forecasts. I've just helped one client design their commission structure and helped them redesign that. We're doing management accounts, year-end accounts. So we're literally offering end-to-end. The idea is we niche, but we can offer everything and everything in between. So whatever you need. So some people might have one person in their accounts department, but they might not be able to deliver the FD work. So we can jump in and help with that, and then provide maybe management accounts, or we can provide the lower level stuff, because actually they've got someone who they've got fractional maybe that they've already put in place, and they just want the work done up to management accounts for them to deliver with the manager. Yeah. So we're trying to be able to offer also whatever they need to support their business. That's the idea, is that we can actually support you as a business, not just provide a service where we do your year-end accounts and speak to you twice a year. Exactly. That doesn't really add value, and I think that's very commoditized now. The compliance work is quite commoditized. There's a lot of companies that will just do it very cheaply, and you're not adding any value really just doing that work.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I say a lot that it's that VFD pieces from bookkeeper to FD and anything in between. So depending upon where they're at, what they already have in house, and we just plug the gap to give them exactly what they need, much more cost effectively than them having to hire in-house. Again, the value of being a specialist, that you in helping them with commission structures and things like that, which is huge value add. A regular accountant trying to juggle 57 different industries just would not have the capability, the expertise, the know-how, the depth to be able to provide that kind of service, because they are, they're just they're going wide and shallow across lots of industries. Then we can't really become a master of one. Whereas when you niche down, you become everything to that person. You go, you go an inch wide, a mile deep, and are a lot more valuable to that business than a generalist can ever be. And we do a similar thing with content creators, helping them with their sponsorship deals and filling out AdSense forms and things like that, which would be alien to other accountants who've never really come across that particular sector. So great to see that enables you to provide all that value add. So now that you are, you've grown, what is the, what are you doing now in terms of bringing that team alongside you? Who have been your first few recruits, because you've already started recruiting, right?
Yep. So we take our office next week. So we've got a proper office. Okay. So we're becoming from working from home to having our own little space, which is great. And I'm really looking forward to having that. I have a lovely lady who works with me. She doesn't come from an accounting background. She actually comes from a marketing background, but also then ran a shop. I put an ad up on Facebook and said, does anyone want any bookkeeping work? And she messaged me and then said, oh, actually, I've got a marketing background. So she's been invaluable, because she offers me something different than just being able to provide me with accounting support. She's providing me with marketing support as well, alongside it. So that's been really, really useful. So she works for me. And then I've got a few other people who are doing freelance type work, but I've actually recruited my first recruit, who starts in a couple of weeks after moving to our office, to try and get them to take over more of the kind of day-to-day stuff I'm currently delivering. She's more of a proper accountant as such, to deliver some of the work so I can focus on delivering the business and growing and networking and all those kind of things that I need to really, really focus on now.
Fantastic. So your first hires have been a mix of in-house and freelance bookkeepers essentially to help with the quantum of work. Now you're kind of getting someone a bit more technical to help with the accounting side. And where do you think your next hire will be? Have you got any admin resource, or is that something that you're considering bringing on board?
I don't know. I think it depends what work we pick up next. If we pick up big clients, which are whole departments, then I think it's probably a junior bookkeeper type role to cover some of the lower level stuff. Because at the moment, I've probably got people who are overqualified delivering that because of the way we're currently doing it. So maybe that area, but it does really depend. I think the lady who's working with me may come on full time at some point, and then she could potentially deliver some more of the practice side of it, delivering more of the admin and dealing with clients, like initial things. Potentially. So I don't know. It just depends how we grow. I'm always looking for good people, always keeping my eye out in case anyone pops up who I might think would be good, especially if they worked in the industry. That's a double tick
absolutely.
Because they've immediately got the experience and I don't have to offload my experience. They've already got an understanding of it, happy dealing within that industry. Yeah,
I find too that people who have that mix of industry and practice experience are a lot more valuable because of the kind of work that we're doing now. It's a lot more of the ongoing kind of finance function stuff. So having that industry experience is actually really valuable rather than just having the skill set of doing year-end accounts, which, as you say, is very commoditized now, and it's low reliance work. A client doesn't really get value from reporting on history. 9 months out of date, looking at year-end accounts, that's not really valuable for a client. What is valuable is the day-to-day. Helping them with cash flow, what I owe, what I need to pay out, managing my VAT payments, payroll payments, all that stuff proactively. So that's definitely where the value lies. So what does the future hold then? What's the growth plan? What's your ambition? Where you're hoping to take this?
I don't know. I'd love to get in a position where I can step back from doing the work, so I can build a team that can self-function, and then I'm just helping deliver and bring in new clients and do that kind of side of it. That's kind of the next couple of years, I guess, and then potentially duplicate that team and have another team that does the same thing. I think there's plenty of recruiting people, and I think it's a good value add if you can get the work on. I think they will see the benefit from it. But actually, I've realised very quickly that I'm not really an accountant anymore. I kind of am taking on these roles that I never felt I would take on. Doing sales. I said I feel more like a recruitment consultant than an accountant at the moment because I'm spending my time trying to sell to people and things like that. So, we need to move the business forward. I need to concentrate on getting everything all set up and get in a really strong position to win everything as much as I can that I'm quoting. And I need to focus on that so that I can then provide the growth so we can grow the team really.
When you start a business, although you're an accountant, you don't really need accounting skills to grow a business. You need the skills that they don't teach you when you do your accountancy training. You need the marketing skills and the sales skills and the people and the leadership skills. They're the skills that you actually need, but you don't get taught that when you do accountancy training. So they're the skills that you need to constantly invest in yourself to kind of build in order to be able to build and grow a business, just like you did. And that's your testament to the fact of someone who did that before you even started. Because February you joined the pack and you start to learn about marketing and doing things in the right way. And now 9 months on after starting your business, you are where you are. Did you ever think 9 months ago that you would be in the position you are in?
No. I didn't think it would happen as fast. I even debated whether I should take on some temp work. But I thought, I'll leave my job. I may take on some temp work while I'm building it up. But it just never needed to happen, which has been amazing. So thrilled with how well it's gone so far. And I really, I really believe in the process and in delivering what I can. And actually, I'm quite passionate about it now. When I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, you're really passionate about this." Yes, I am. I believe that we can do it, and that actually it's a really good business model and can really help those. I also believe we can help those businesses. So actually, I don't feel like I'm selling. I feel like I'm offering them something that would be valuable to them as well. So yeah, I'm really thrilled with how well it's gone so far, and I just need to keep the momentum up and kind of have made that decision to invest in the team and step back from doing as much delivery so that I can invest time and energy in that area.
Well, you're certainly huge inspiration and motivation, especially in the pack to the new firms that have joined, and they see you as their kind of you host the monthly group, don't you, at the start of the month?
Yes. And, so we do Lunch and Learn with the pack, but we do a new business one once a month, just because, like I said before, our issues are different. Yeah. Our issues are not the same as everybody else's always. So it's nice to just chat with people who are doing similar things to you. How are you making that work? What are you doing with this? What are you doing with that? And having those conversations. It's quite a small group, but actually it's been really good. We've done a couple, and I found it really useful just to get different ideas of what people are doing and how they're delivering. And it's really nice to help others as well as they're going through the journey of setting up a new business. It's a tough time when you're trying to do it. People have made a commitment, taken a financial, probably a pay cut and things like that. So it's been that's been really good. I've really enjoyed that.
Fantastic. That's good. So what would you say to a firm owner listening to this, or someone who's thinking about setting up their practice? What is your kind of closing words of advice to them?
Join the pack, absorb everything that you can, learn off everyone else. A lot of the things I've sped up my learning because I've got experienced people helping me. So even little things like looking at software, I very quickly have got better software than I potentially would have had because other people are recommending it. Yes, this one's quite good for that. That's quite good for that. Absorb everything and work out your niche and then find out where they are and then just keep going. Keep doing the same thing because it will come good. People will buy into the fact that you know their business but find your niche and get on with it.
Fantastic.
Just do that.
Amazing. Great words of advice. That's been it's been amazing. And you've certainly motivation and inspiration to many. Thank you very much, Amy, for sharing your story with us today. I hope it's been helpful for the audience. I'm sure it has. So thanks once again, Amy.
Thanks for inviting me.